So we are the Geek Speak Show at local comic shop day, and of course we had to be. It's happening everywhere, but we had to be at our favorite, also our sponsor, Flying Colors Comics and other cool stuff. We're gonna go in there, show you some of the people that are in there shopping, supporting your local comic book shop. Make sure you do the same thing here at Flying Colors. We're gonna get some of the creative people behind Not Forgotten. It's an anthology about superheroes that have been forgotten. Not Superman, not the Justice League that's out in theaters right now, and the Marvel heroes. They're not forgotten, obviously, but these are heroes back from the 20s, 30s, around the time when Superman, Batman were actually invented. But then these heroes went bye-bye and they were just forgotten. Now, an anthology called Not Forgotten is available here and at most stores. You can get it online also. I'll put it on the link down here. You can get it on there. You're going to meet some of the creators behind that here at Flying Colors. So, you ready? Well, let's go, even if you're not. So we're back inside in the Flying Colors Comics and other cool stuff. Celebrating again local comic shop day. We had to be at our favorite. I said at the top, Matt Harding and Dave Harding here with me. You guys will agree, support your local comic book shops. So here at our favorite and also one of our sponsors, Flying Colors, we talked about the Not Forgotten, but it's you guys' baby. Talk about it. What is the Not Forgotten Anthology?
The Not Forgotten Anthology is a public domain superhero anthology book. Basically, all these superheroes were from the 1930s that have been forgotten about, and we and a bunch of artists, over 40 artists, have revitalized them. We talk about their history. We have new stories that these people have created, and we put it all in this big old book. 264 pages, over 20 stories.
Now, the first question that comes out of that is, if they were forgotten, how did you guys remember them?
There is actually an archive of them that you can find and dig through, but it's you have to do a lot of research and stuff. We have a guy, his name is John Morris. He wrote some books. The League of what's it called? The League of Unfortunate Superheroes.
Yeah.
And he has a podcast and all kinds of stuff, and he was our expert on a lot of these characters.
So they weren't in where the Ark of the Covenant was in some crate.
Sure, that's better actually. Yeah, we had to dig into some tunnels and swing from things. I had to run from
those rolling rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, my friend's face melted off when we opened it up. But it was worth it. A lot of characters actually that you see today, like Shazam, Blue Beetle, they were all these characters that had actually been bought at the time when these companies went under. And these are a bunch of the stories of the people who weren't bought at the time. So that's basically what it is.
Yeah, so for them, really, it's a history lesson of sorts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We were just going to do it for fun, and then when I started looking into it, I really developed a love for these creators that aren't remembered, right?
Yeah.
The creators and the creations that they made were amazing. So it really is. So we put a lot of work into making sure that we talk about who made them. We have Andrew Farago, who's a curator at the Cartoon Art Museum, did this whole essay on the time period that this came from and stuff like that. So we wanted to make sure that we put a lot of emphasis on the original creators. For these
and we won't talk about the heroes that are in there because you guys will have to get it and see who they are. But why do you think they were forgotten? I mean, I know it's around the time we had Batman, Superman. But why do you think they were forgotten?
Sure. So what happened was Superman was created, and that was the first superhero really ever. Superheroes are an American creation. Superhero comics are an American creation. And when that happened, all these publishers opened up in the backs of restaurants, in the backs of laundromats, stuff like that. And they were putting these comics out, and it was really popular all the way through World War II. And then after World War II, they took a pretty big hit. So a lot of these places that weren't huge established publishers went under. And because of that, hundreds of characters were just, canceled. And people like Archie and DC Comics, they went through and they bought some of them. But, some of them, they just kind of went into nowhere. But there's characters that were only in 4 pages of a comic, and those characters we actually would dig up. There's this one character, Atomic Tot, that was only in 2 issues, and his name switched from the first issue to the second issue, and he is a toddler who takes a vitamin, and it gives him the body of a bodybuilder wrestler. And he goes around and beats things up and stuff. But there's just these really weird stories that just weren't bought, during this whole time that these publishers went under.
Yeah, so they're all found in here. Now, Dave, this is your first comic. How did you get involved in this?
Well, I got involved in it because I have a son who happens to be in the business, and you can't be around him without getting really enthusiastic about what he does.
Yeah.
And he really encouraged me to want to write something because I've been a writer, but a different kind. I was a course manager and writer and stuff like that for the telephone company, for the city of Hayward. I was a trainer. And so when this came up, I practiced a couple of times with stories, at home. And Matt said, "Why don't you write one of these for me? I'll illustrate it, you write it, and let's see if we can make it work." I like anything about airplanes. So one of my favorite, not forgotten but public domain, actually not that completely forgotten, was Airboy. And so I sat and I thought about it. And I said, I wonder what it would be like if that whole Airboy team from the 40s got back together in the 90s or the teens and tried to recreate what they had done back then. So I wrote a story based on what would happen if they were still around, and then went to an air show. And Matt liked it, so he started illustrating it, and that's how it happened. I just really enjoyed doing it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, besides the obvious differences, I mean, what for you? What was the difference between what you're used to writing and then writing for a comic book?
Writing for a comic book, I was actually able to use my imagination. You can't use your imagination when you're writing technical courses, and I wrote a lot of harassment prevention courses, for instance, and taught those over the years.
Yeah.
There's the law. You don't fool around with or become real imaginative with the law.
Yeah.
But with Airboy, I just had a blast. I just dug deep and I thought, what can I really do here? And so I just had a lot of fun, creating something from nothing. Whereas a trainer or course writer, you're writing something about that already exists. So that's the biggest difference. Using my imagination, it was great fun.
Yeah, and it was the first time writing for a comic book, but I imagine it was also the first time writing something with your son.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, that was fun. Well, we had our moments because I really don't know how to correctly write for a comic book strip. So he was the editor, and he'd come back and say, well, we're going to have to do a little changing here. We're going to have to do a little changing there. This won't fit in that, box. So we worked back and forth. And finally we collaborated to, create the Airboy script. And it turned out, I thought, pretty good.
Yeah.
So I imagine there were a lot of dad moments.
Well, so he got really into it, right? Like, this is what was cool about it, is I asked him, hey, because he raised me reading comics, bring me to different conventions and stuff. And I think when I first asked him to write a story for it, he came back with an Airboy story that was like 80 pages long. Like, it was like an epic. And I had to be like, well, we have 8 pages, so we're gonna have to kind of try to condense it a little bit. But it was cool because he would just be working on it like all the time, and it was really inspiring to see how he took to it. And I hope he writes more.
Well, I still have that 8-book comic book series about Airboy, but I call it the Air Twins, or grandchildren, and we take off from there, and I have a great time with that. So it was hard to condense all that. My imagination was going 100 miles an hour.
As it should.
It's good. Yeah, I mean, I read it. It's really good.
No, I was gonna say we laugh, but there's a guy that lives like not too far from here named George Lucas. He had a whole treatment, and look what we got out of that. So you never know what could happen.
You never know.
So going off of that, actually, I mean, they're in public domain. So now that it's out, what do you guys hope happens with these characters?
Honestly, I hope that people see this book and they're like, wow, I didn't really know about this. They start digging up some stuff, or even pick some of the characters from here, and are like, we like this. We want to do our versions of this, or we want to, go and look at all these archives. You could literally just type in, like comic book public domain archives, and you'll find this archive that has all these old stories. And I'm hoping that people go and they start checking this stuff out, and creators start creating stuff with these characters.
Yeah, because I mean, all of you who are complaining, there's too many reboots, too many sequels. Hello,
yeah,
right there.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are so cool. Because I don't want to rant too long about this, but this was before people been to the moon. This is before people knew about a lot of different stuff. So, like, for instance, you'll find characters like this guy Pharaoh, who is a detective with a ray gun, and he takes this pill and turns into a gorilla detective, and he fights werewolves and vampires that come from Pluto to try to take over.
That's a theme there.
Yeah. Well, there are some common themes. A lot is like a pill that people take, or like radiation did a lot of stuff. Yeah. A lot of people are pilots. Like almost every hero is a pilot. Like he was a pilot in the war. Every single one. And they're rich. There's a lot of rich people. So those are common themes for some reason.
Well, the rich part, I imagine, because Bruce Wayne had just come out around that time, so it had to be something like similar to that.
True, yeah.
So it could have been that. So you see it here. Obviously, it's available here at Flying Colors. But where can they get it if they're not here?
So we're going to be putting it in stores. We're going to be. We just printed it, so we're going to be putting it on like Amazon stuff. We want to get like a second printing through a publisher, so we're sending out that kind of stuff. So I guess in the future you might find it published by somebody. But other than that, really, just right now, it's where we go. There's creators all over the United States, over the world, really. We got guys from Italy and stuff, and they all have copies of this book. So maybe in their stores they'll have them. We have a website, which is just Not Forgotten Anthology, Tumblr on Tumblr, and we'll be putting up stuff there where you can find it.
And are you going to be taking it to some conventions?
Oh yeah.
The year's pretty much done, but do you have plans for
I have
next year?
Emerald City Comic Con, which is in Seattle. We're going to be doing that one. I'm going to be doing C2E2 in Chicago. I'll probably be doing Comic Con in San Diego. I'll at least be there. Just the normal California ones, WonderCon, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say WonderCon actually would be a good one because it not that San Diego Comic Con isn't, but WonderCon really focuses more on the comics.
Oh yeah.
So that would be a good one to take it to.
I mean, like I said, we had creators all over the United States. We got guys in Arizona, Texas, New York, you name it. So they all have copies, and they'll all be doing conventions. So just keep an open eye for it. Just look for that.
Yeah. So there it is. Dave and Matt Harding. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another one of the creators and people who work on the Not Forgotten Anthology. Someone you've seen before here at Flying Colors Comics. Omar Morales. Omar, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing? Good to see you again.
See you again. So, what did you contribute to Not Forgotten?
I contributed a story called Moon Girl, and it's a little 9-page short. I mean, all the stories in there are short. They range from 2 to 10 pages, and I contributed Moon Girl, which I think is the second story in as you kind of start flipping through the beginning of it. And it's reviving an old heroine from the 1940s, I believe, who was very much a two-dimensional kind of like a generic Wonder Woman type of character, right? She was super strong, she could fly, and she would use all these amazing powers to like just punch out goons in the alley, right? Just low-level foot soldiers of crime. And so I took the story and reimagined it as like a retro sci-fi spectacular and just kind of put a new twist on where Moon Girl comes from and how she got her abilities and put some more, I would say, political and social intrigue into how she came to be. So using old techniques but modern style storytelling, if that makes sense.
So this is an origin story, then it's kind of what you did for her.
Yeah, it's an origin story, very much so, and it kind of leaves you kind of on a cliffhanger of like, ooh, what's going to happen next? And I did that on purpose because I'm actually expanding the story from just the short 9 pages into an 88-page graphic novel, which should be out in, let's say, second half of 2018. So keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah, like we mentioned the other interview with Dave and Matt Harding. A lot of it's called Not Forgotten because all of these characters they were forgotten. They're in public domain. Nobody knew who they were.
Yeah. Before
taking on this project, had you heard about any of them, or this is the first time you heard about these characters?
I'm trying to think if I'd heard of any of them. And to be honest, I can't say that I have. But in the process of researching which character I would want to do, I discovered quite a few of them. And I was so happy and proud to A, have been selected to be one of the contributors for the project, but B, just to learn so much about this rich history of the Golden Age, which has been totally forgotten. Because Superman made it, Batman made it, Wonder Woman made it, Captain America made it, but like name 2 or 3 outside of that from that era that made it till today, and you'd be hard pressed to name 2 or 3 outside of those main ones. So it's been a journey of discovery, and I honestly never thought that Moon Girl would consume so much of my life. Like, I've been working on it for over a year. I'm probably going to be working on it for another couple of years when you think about marketing and sales after the book launches. So what started out of this as this little curiosity of, I might give this a shot and pitch for this Golden Age Heroes thing has now become like this full-blown passion project for me.
Now that you did some of the research and you know more about the characters, why do you think these disappeared? I mean, Superman, Batman, obviously they're still around, but why do you think these guys went bye-bye?
Well, the story goes that there were so many of these small publishers during the Golden Age that were literally working like out of the back room of like a laundromat or the back room of a restaurant, you know, just renting a little tiny space, and they all just went corrupt, bankrupt, you know, out of business, fly-by-night operations trying to get in on the comics boom. Everyone was trying to get rich quick off the comics boom, and all these publishers started creating all these characters, right? But then as those companies disappeared, the characters also disappeared, and there was nobody to look after them, and that's why they all fell into the public domain. Obviously, you know, DC's still around, Marvel's still around. They've changed their company names over time, but those are really the only two, along with their characters, that survived. Pretty much everybody else folded and went under, and that's why you have this rich library of public domain heroes that never made it.
From the stories that did exist there that you looked at before you did the origin of the new one, what are the differences between the stories and how it was told back then to how you would speak to today's audiences?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, like I said before, the Moon Girl, when I was researching her, was very two-dimensional. There was not a lot of depth to her. There was not a lot of meat to the story of how she came to be. And a lot of the heroes were like that back in the day. They were just trying to crank out characters and stories as fast as they could, so they didn't really have a lot of time to put a lot of depth and richness into the stories. And so trying to reach a modern audience today, so what I try to do is use old-style visuals. If you flip through it later, you'll see that I used a coloring technique that makes the pages look old and faded. So it's almost like a found footage project, right, from the 1940s or 50s, where the pages look old, like if it could have been from 80 or 90 years ago. But my modern storytelling voice, I told a richer, deeper story that, like I said, has some political intrigue. It has some gender issues, gender equality issues. It's very much something like you would imagine out of the drama of Trump versus Hillary today, but framed in this retro kind of sci-fi environment. And so I had a lot of fun kind of mashing those two things together. It was a great challenge, but also a lot of fun using kind of old style visuals and old style gags, but storytelling in a voice that's more modern and that a modern comics reader could kind of really sink their teeth into.
So what I'm hearing is that back then, kind of, you can almost say it was like just crank out whatever. Here's this one flies, there it is. This one that has X-ray vision,
correct.
There, and but now obviously audiences they want more. They want some meat to the characters.
Yeah, they want some emotional depth. They want some ability to relate to the characters. They want to understand the characters more deeply. You know, this is why somebody like a Batman is so popular, right? He has this rich psychology of Bruce Wayne, the orphan, who goes out at night and kills himself and like mutilates his body fighting crime. Why? Right? The question is not like, why does he look so cool and how does he get those gadgets? It's why is he doing this, right?
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Yeah, where does he get those wonderful toys? And the story of the alley and his parents dying and the pearls rolling on the ground, and and it still haunts him every single day that he's out there fighting crime. And that's what people really latch on to. I mean, comics, just like literature, right? You have to have believable characters that have some kind of human hook to them, right? And a lot of times these old style characters,
you have to care about them, because if you don't, it doesn't matter if they die or not, because you don't care about them.
Absolutely right. And I think that's part of the problem that some of the even the current superhero movies have, is like you can't get into it because you kind of don't care, And I think that's why the Marvel movies have been so successful. They humanize the characters and make them light and fun, and everybody can relate to that.
Yeah, and so that is the Not Forgotten Anthology. Also, you've talked about Crusader here before. So what's going on with that one?
Crusader, he's still around, but I sold out my inventory, and so actively promoting that project, I really don't have anything to sell anymore. So I've kind of really shifted all my focus and attention onto this. I mean, Crusader still there. It's still something that people are interested in, and if they really want, I can send them a PDF since I don't have any more physical copies to sell. So Crusader's kind of on the back burner right now, and that's okay. Moon Girl's on the front burner, and then once I put that book out next year and start selling it, eventually I'll put that on the back burner and then work on this third project that I've got kind of noodling around in the back of my head right now.
Yeah, and if any of you haven't heard about Crusader, it is literally the biggest comic book store. I mean, comic book.
Yeah.
There's proof.
Guinness World Records.
Yeah.
It's 2 feet by 3 feet. I broke the record. I think it was in 2015, and I still bring that thing to shows. Like when I have a table at a comic book show, I'll bring it out, and people are amazed because they think it's a poster, and then they realize it's an actual 28-page comic book with a stapled spine and a story inside of it, a one-shot basically. They're just like, whoa, like that's huge. And then I show them the plaque, Guinness World Records, and they're like, oh man. And then so they want to take a picture with it, and so I end up taking pictures of a lot of people with it, because they don't have anybody else to take the photo, but I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, because it's the real thing. I mean, you guys go back in like a year or 2 years ago, it's right there in the videos. You had it here actually at Flying Colors one time.
Yeah, I bring that thing with me everywhere. I had 100 copies made up, and I'm down to the last copy, and that one stays in my garage and travels with me wherever I go. And people ask me like, hey, do you still have any for sale? I'm like, no, sorry, man. This is the last one, and I've got to keep it. So
yeah, so we with Matt and Dave, they told us where they have. But for you, where can they get the Not Forgotten?
People can just hit me up online, wherever I'm at, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm happy to mail them a copy. But my next show is probably the only one I have on the books right now is in Pleasanton. Next in 2018, I think it's like in May or June at the Pleasanton Fairgrounds, and that I'll have the book with me there. But between now and then, don't be shy about hitting me up directly, and I can ship one out to you.
Okay, so definitely that's where you can find it, the Not Forgotten Anthology, and Omar Morales. Thanks, Omar.
Thanks.
And that's it. Local Comic Shop Day right here at Flying Colors Comics and other cool stuff. Our sponsor. I got my copy. Now you got to get yours. It's available online, available at Matt Harding's website. He told you that. This is what it looks like, the Not Forgotten Anthology. Again, it's about superheroes that you forgot about or probably didn't even know existed. This, you could consider it a history lesson of sorts. So a lot of artists, a lot of writers contribute, a lot of them local here to the San Francisco Bay Area. They contributed to this anthology. Pretty cool. And the other cool thing, again, I know as we record this, next Thursday's Thanksgiving, and then Black Friday, you all go crazy getting the newest TVs, the newest whatever. But don't forget, keep it local. Go to your local comic book shop. Give the gift of comics for yourself, for somebody who's never experienced comic books. There's some cool movies. Thor Ragnarok is out. Justice League is out. This is where they started from comic books. So give the gift of comics. Keep it local. Support your local comic book shop, because you don't want to show up here one day and this is no longer here. We don't want that day. Flying Colors Comics and other cool stuff, our favorite, the home of Free Comic Book Day, and also our sponsor. So we are pretty much done with events for 2017, getting ready for 2018. We'll listen to the show. We'll let you know exactly where we're going to be. We're going to kick it off, I think, unless something else comes up, we're going to kick it off at my favorites, WonderCon Anaheim. We're going to be there in March, so I don't know if I'll see you guys again on video, so I will wish you all happy holidays, a happy new year, and we will see you out here and out everywhere we go in 2018.